Hi, I'm Kiwi,
And I'm Jarad.
and we are the two gentlemen, coming to you with a twist and a shout. Jarad, how are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Funny you should mention shout. I I copped I was playing basketball and I tried to take what is called a charge, which means you stand in front of the person with the ball in a defensive position, and you make sure that that if they run into you, it's actually a foul against them. So this guy came towards me and then lifted his knee at the time I
Oh,
was just standing there, and I copped it right in the man region. Um, it wasn't a direct hit, but it was enough. But the shouting was there. But it's funny the reaction you get from people around, because they give you the 1.5 meters around sort of thing. They don't really know what to do. Yeah, I'm writhing in pain. I think the referee laughed, and I think it was just a more of a nervous sort of thing. But yeah, I've seen it many times happen at football growing up, and I remember I remember one trainer ran out with the water and didn't really know what to do, so he just squirted the water bottle on the guy's crotch, and now now I've got pain and a wet crotch. But yeah,
yeah, the
I
magic
just
water
thought
heals
how
all.
I just thought how it was. I was in quite a bit of pain, but it was it was interesting to see the reaction of people, or how they deal with it. They sort of like, whoa, 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 I'll give you some space, mate. But
Oh, man.
yeah, I survived though. I survived. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't direct hit, so I'm all good.
Did the guy apologize?
No, he was a bit of a jerk about it actually.
Oh, wow,
It's
okay.
Yeah, he led with the knee and just kept going. I'm like, all right, then, fair enough. It's like that, is it?
Did
But
it
anyway,
count?
that's
Did he get fouled at least?
it was a no call, which basically he missed the shot because did a good, like, I did well defensively, but he didn't get called for a foul. So yeah, I think the referee was kind of laughing because she didn't really realize what had occurred
Oh,
until
jeez.
after I was on my haunches. But yeah, part of it, I guess. Sometimes you cop an inadverted knock in places.
Jeez, yeah. Look, I think every male listener can definitely empathize with you, Jarad. I certainly can.
Happens to all of us, mate. Happens to all of us. But
I know.
yeah. Yeah, I just laughed when you said twist and shout. Oh, that's reminded me of that story. But how you been anyway?
Good. I just want to go back to that theme of the old nether regions. I
Yeah.
actually know someone who had something called testicular torsion. I'd never heard of it
Mm,
before because you covered there
mm.
the shout, and I was just thinking of the twist bit. I
Yes.
don't know what testicular torsion is, but I imagine there's some sort of twist or occlusion going on in
Yeah.
the downstairs region, and it caused a lot of pain and a
Mm.
hospital visit and emergency surgery.
Yeah. Not. I believe. Yeah. I've got a
Have
tear
you heard of
rolling
it?
down my face. Yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay.
That's as close as I want to get to it, though.
Yeah.
It's, but yeah. I think it. Yeah, twist and shout is quite a quite a good way of explaining it.
All right,
But
listeners, that's your homework. Go and research testicular torsion and don't ever get it.
Do we have? Do they have to really? Just yeah, be careful with those Google searches.
Yeah, true. Just don't do it at work. But to
Oh
answer your
man.
question, I've been well and I
Hmm.
had a really cool time last weekend. Had an epic weekend, actually. We had a friend who was in a play.
Oh yeah.
She's an actor at the Australian Theatre for Young People, and she had her debut performance. It's called Shack. Yeah, it was fantastic. She did really
Oh, good.
well. The play only had kids in it, and
Right.
they all did fantastically. My two
Awesome.
boys loved it. My youngest
Yeah.
wasn't sure if he wanted to watch it. He thought he'd last about 5 minutes, and we said, that's totally fine. You know, we just want you to be there to support our friend. And he ended up staying for the whole thing, and he was smiling throughout. And at the end, he said, I loved it. So that was a
How good's
really
that?
nice experience. And Erica and I were talking about the creative arts afterwards and just saying how much it connects people and how it just gets you
Hmm.
talking and gets you stimulated.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're just so proud of our friend. So Mia, who is a
That's
new
it.
listener to our show, excellent job.
Awesome. Awesome. That sounds like a fun weekend,
It really
or a
was.
fun event in the weekend. Um. Yeah. Right. So look, I've got a little question for you, or a little experience to share with you. I I was just mucking around with my youngest daughter, and I just said, "Oh, do you love daddy?" or something along those lines. And she's like, "Well, no, not really." I'm like, "Oh, right, okay." Like, can you elaborate? Yeah, explain. I'm here, holding back tears and stuff. Not that bad, but yeah. Apparently, she goes, "Well, you haven't really taken me to the toy shop or Big W or recently and to buy any clothes or toys." I'm like, "Oh, well, I was up. I was there. I think last week we were there, but yeah, it's just interesting. First of all, I'm thinking, well, am I buying too many gifts for these kids? It's an easy fix, really. It is. It's sometimes you want to see them smile and you want to see them enjoy themselves, and sometimes that's hey, let's go down to the shop and grab a $10 toy. It lights up their face only for a little while, but it's sort of like a little hit,
Yeah.
Maybe it made me think maybe I'm doing that a little bit too much, getting serious about it. But yeah, it's an interesting topic. I mean, a lot of people would shower their kids with gifts and love and all sorts of things and the whole lot. But basically, it made me think, am I buying too much for my kids? Didn't think I was, but after hearing that comment, I thought maybe I've crossed the line a little bit.
So, well, now that you've had a chance to evaluate after being given that shock review,
Yeah.
how do you feel? Like, what do you think? Do you feel that this is a go-to for you? Do you feel that you've bought too much, or that it just seems to be a default thing that you do with your kids?
A little of everything, really. Everything you said there. There's moments, just the way that our life is set up, our family dynamics is set up. There's moments where, my kids are with me, and it's the three of us, and there's moments where they're with their mum. And I think maybe my default sometimes is to keep them busy. I might duck down to the shops, and for me, spending $10 each on a little token thing, I can handle that financially. So I do it. But I think it might be, it's a bit of a wake up call for me. Like, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I need to pull my head in a little bit and think of other things to do. Yeah, not saying we go to the shop every weekend or every day or whatever, but it's just, when there's a bit of boredom in the day, like sometimes you're with them for 8 hours throughout the day if mum's off doing something. Sometimes after school for a few hours, the way that our lives work out. Sometimes it's just easy to go to the shops and walk around, look at things, and come home with a little $10 toy or something. And yeah, it's made me evaluate that a little bit.
Does it always have to be an object that you keep? For example, $10 per toy, financially speaking, for a family that's doing okay, isn't that much.
Yep.
But going to the movies,
Yep.
I remember seeing a mother standing in line, and she was in front of me. It was just the mother and her daughter. I think they bought tickets and plus maybe one drink and one popcorn each. And I remember the cashier saying, "Okay, that'll be $80."
Yeah.
And I was just like, is she going to pay this? At this point, I'd be like, "Oh, I think I left my wallet in the car," and run off. And she just handed over a credit card and just away she went. So that's a lot more money, but it wasn't a thing that she kept.
Yeah.
So I guess it might be different if it's an experience rather than just an object, if that makes sense. Like some things just incidentally cost money. Like going to this play cost our family a fortune. It was $120, I think, in the end.
Yeah.
For 4 tickets, which is huge. But to me, that's different to spending $120 on, say, a little toy for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm big. I prefer experiences, and I'm not sure if the kids always at this point in time. I think they prefer. It's hard because I think when you look back on your childhood, you remember the experiences. You don't remember the toys as much. You might remember some toys, or you might see an old toy in a antique shop these days. But and it might remind you of the toy you had as a kid. But realistically, like, you remember the times you had with your family, your friends, your siblings and all that sort of thing a lot more at this age, you know.
Yeah.
But as a kid, all I wanted was a toy. All you
Yeah.
wanted was the latest thing. So it's trying to balance that out of that way of thinking. So I agree. I think experiences are the better option. I mean, when I do go to the movies with the kids, one in particular really likes the movies and we'll talk about the movies, months after.
Yeah.
She'll remember the movie, where we parked, all that sort of stuff, and the
That's
whole
nice.
experience, So yeah, it does cost more, but for me, going to things and experiencing things together is a better option than just buying a $10 piece of junk toy that ultimately ends up under the bed or stepped on by me.
Yeah.
But but like I said, it's an easy fix. The shop's literally 5 minutes from my house. It's $20. Yeah, when you $10 each. Like you basically can justify it by that. But yeah, I've said I've sort of thought I've always thought experience is better, but sometimes you take the easier option when you don't have as much time or you just want to fill in an hour or two.
Yeah. Look, you've opened up a whole conversation, and that's around love languages.
Yep.
For a lot of people, the giving of gifts and the receiving of gifts is how love is expressed.
Yes.
Especially for somebody who can't be there as much. For example, a grandparent. I think it's very normal in our culture here in Australia, or in a lot of cultures, where you go and visit your grandparents or they come and visit you and they've got a little something for you. For my parents, they're like, oh, do you want to come shopping? So they take the boys out and the boys can get anything they want.
Yeah.
They go to the supermarket together. My mom's like, oh, you get whatever you want. And, the kids will come back and my kids are very responsible. They're not, they don't try to break the bank or exploit anything. They just, get some nice berries, a few chocolate bars, that sort of thing. And, my mum's always like, oh, is that all you want? Do you want to get more? And this is just her way. She gets a little bit of time with them and she just wants to give.
Shower them with love and gifts.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense because she doesn't see them as much. If you were a parent who is jet setting all over the world, going on business meetings, etc., or if you're a sports player, away on tour or something, of course you're going to come back with something for your kids. It'd be pretty weird if you didn't, really.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you were in a separated family where, maybe you had your kids every second weekend or whatever it is, you've got to really turn it on then, don't you? When you're the weekend dad or weekend mum, whatever it is. So the giving of gifts is a legitimate love language. It's just, I suppose we need more than just that. And if that's the thing that sustains a relationship, if that's the foundation of it, well, then it might be unhealthy. If it's just the cherry on top, it certainly works well, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And it's all about, like you said there, your kids are respectful and understand that, I guess, why they're getting that opportunity to get what they want. And that's something as a dad that, my youngest, I'll have to sort of, we'll have to give her, a learning experience of, gifts. It's nice when someone buys you a gift, but it's not, you don't expect it. And that's not love. It's, what is it? Or, what is it? We've got to go through that explanation. And like I said, it's pretty fresh for me. So I'm still, still trying to work out the best approach. But, like, it's okay to buy gifts and it's okay to, that, like you said, it's a language of love, to some degree. So there's no issue with it. It's just how a 6-year-old portrays it at this point, and as a parent, I've got to make that sort of call. And you, like you touched on it too, separated families, like, does it become an expectation when that child or children turn up at the doorstep of the parent that they're going to receive a gift? Like, what if that week they didn't, they had to pay some bills or couldn't, then it becomes like, oh, where's my gift? What have I done wrong? Or don't, like, so it's a tough one. Cause like I said, all you want to do is see your kids and see your loved ones smile. But, it's, you can spoil them a bit.
For sure. I want to share a story from something that's happened with me. I was going to say recently. It actually was last night. So my youngest son has bought an Xbox Series X,
Mm.
and he bought it off his uncle. He had a spare one. I don't know who has
Yeah.
a spare Xbox, right? But he had one lying around gathering dust, and my youngest son wanted it, so he bought it. And the way he did it was, I was so proud of him. He did it like an adult, really. He didn't try to play the, "Oh, I'm your nephew" card, give me a mate's rates or anything like that. He
Mm.
said, "Oh, what's a fair price I can offer?" And we said, "Oh, this is about the market price," and he offered it, and it was accepted, and he paid for it. He gave my brother the cash, and then my brother said, "Oh, just give it to your dad, and he can transfer me the money. I don't want cash."
Yeah.
And I was so proud of the way he handled it, the way he took it like a
Awesome.
man. Basically, he was just so adult about it.
Yeah.
And I felt that I didn't want him paying for it. Like, I didn't want to rob him of the experience of going through all of that, the negotiations, and
Yep.
the feeling that he's accomplished something and paid for it himself. So
Yep.
I let him go through the process. And then afterwards, I said to him, "Look, I'm really proud of the way you did that, the way you were so mature about it. What I'll do is I'll pay for it, and I'll put all that money that you were giving to your uncle in your bank
Mm.
account."
Yep.
And he was so happy after that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But you could argue that I robbed him of the experience of paying for something himself, but he did get that feeling.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
done and
Yeah.
dusted. And then it
Yeah.
was only after that I did the big reveal. So
Yeah.
I feel that,
Yeah.
I feel like he learned a really big lesson that he can,
Yeah.
he can do something for himself and he can negotiate and be a grown up about it. But at the same time, he also knows that, wow, daddy's always watching and daddy's got my
Yeah.
back and daddy's really proud of
Yeah.
me and he loves me. So it was a big ticket item,
Mm.
but I feel like I did do the right thing in the end. And,
Yep.
this is going towards his savings.
Yeah, like you said, he didn't actually know that you were going to step in and do the reveal and pay for it. So he was, by all intents, negotiating his money, his savings, and yeah, it's a nice thing that you've done, and yeah, it's a good little learning experience there.
Yeah, I think so. But look, Jared, we need to move on to other love languages. I don't even know what there are. There's a whole list of them. But let me ask you as a person, how do you feel loved? There's a big one.
Mm.
Now, if you're asking your children, do you love me? Well,
Yeah.
how do you feel that anyone loves you, Jared?
Yeah. I should say that that after all this occurred, I was sitting on the lounge and my youngest came over and I said, "Well, give me a cuddle." So she gives me a cuddle. I go, "I love you," and she goes, "I love you too." I'm like, okay. She's past the point of no toys, and for me, that expression through a hug or her saying it, and you can tell when someone means it. It's not just an answer to you saying it.
Yeah.
That to me is how from that I feel loved, the attention that they give you, that whoever's you're getting it from gives you. I'm pretty simple like that. I don't need anything too elaborate.
Yeah. So words of affirmation, I think that's called. So being told I love you, that you're awesome, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's spending of time.
Mm.
That little bit of attention you said. And
affection. The
affection.
time together. Yep. Those
You're
three.
a simple man, Jared. I love it.
I'm simple. I don't need much. Or maybe I do. Maybe I need a lot of that. A lot of those three. How about that? What about yourself? You got any things different to that?
Look, words of affirmation mean a lot to me.
Mm.
I can't tell if people like me or not, even at times.
Mm.
Sometimes we just spend time with people, don't we? Just by default. You have to spend time with someone, like a colleague.
Yep.
My colleagues are rostered on with me. They've got no choice.
They're paid to be with you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have to like me.
Yep.
So, even if you get along with someone, you're sharing laughs and stuff like that, it doesn't mean that they genuinely like you.
They tolerate you.
Yeah, it could be. So if someone says to me, "Kiwi, I like you. You are a very nice man," that would actually mean something to me.
Yep.
As ridiculous as that sounds,
Yep.
And then you'd be like, of course they like you. You know, they hang out with you. You know, they
Yeah.
text you, they
Yeah.
share music with you. You know, what's your
Yeah.
problem?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I guess you can do that without necessarily really
Yep.
liking someone, right?
Yep.
So,
Yeah. You can do that out of manners, can't you? You can do that out of just being
yeah,
being a nice person. Like, oh, this guy asked for this. I better send it to him.
yeah,
Like.
exactly. And you can get someone's phone number off them purely because they don't know how to say no. And it's a weird thing to say no to someone sometimes, isn't it? Like if they're a
Yeah.
colleague and they say, "Oh, can I get your number?" Because, you know, I want
Mm.
to, well, in our case, it's quite important that we can communicate with each other when we're off on different outings with different clients.
Yep.
But it's really easy to say yes. It's very difficult to say no. So,
Yeah.
you know, just because you've got someone's number in your phone doesn't mean that you're friends with them. So, you know,
Very
love
true.
and feeling liked, feeling accepted, feeling part of something is a really tricky thing, Jared.
Yeah, it is. And the more we talk about it, the more I can I can sense it is. Like I'm pretty simple in my requirements, I guess, for lack of better words. But yeah, there's a lot going on. Yeah, like I said, just because you talk to someone or just because you're actually in the same space as someone doesn't necessarily mean that, it's all, you know, you might like the situation, but they might not, or vice versa, or both of you are just there because of, you have to, or being nice,
Yeah,
like being polite. Like I said, it's hard to say no when someone says, "Oh, I don't think I have ever said no." Like
yeah,
someone's, so I've been able to say, yeah, yeah, sure, like
yep,
it can't hurt, you know.
yep. And you
It's
think of a
and
situation like being in a sports team with someone, like you didn't choose
yeah,
everyone in your team, did you?
no, 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 you just rocked up to play the sport. You share your common interest is the sport.
Yep.
That's it. Like we've talked about this before, but it takes a lot of time to get that friendship or outside that environment.
Yeah, it really does. And I think it's really important as adults to tell people that we like them.
Mm.
And I'm guessing that makes a lot of people uncomfortable too. You know, and quite
I think
often
it
we don't
makes
use the word
yeah.
"I like you." You don't walk up to an adult, shake their hand, look them in the eye, go, "Hi, I like you." It doesn't happen, does it? You might say something, "Oh, you're awesome, man. That was cool. We should hang out sometime." But
Yeah.
you never say, "I like you."
I don't know how many people you'd be continually shaking hands with if you kept continue to say that. You'd be like, well, they'd be like, well, yeah, thank you, bye.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it does make people like we live in a world that is should be simple, but it's not. If you like someone, you should be able to say it. Yeah, but realistically, how weird does it sound?
Yeah,
If
I
you just
know,
send a text to
exactly.
someone or ring them on the ring them, I just want to let you know, like it's just a weird sort of feeling for both parties, to receive that. It shouldn't be, but and it's nice when it's genuine. Like I don't know why it's got so weird, but it is what it is, I guess.
But Jared, if you were on your deathbed, it wouldn't be
Yep.
weird at all, would it? To be
No,
hearing it or to be saying it?
no. That's unfortunately that's the time where these truths come out, and it's like, well, it'd be lovely to hear that 30 years ago,
Yeah,
or whatever. So
yeah.
yeah,
Or
that's the
New
sad truth.
Year's
That's
and
yeah,
Christmas.
yeah. All these little celebrations. We should do this again. This is
Yeah,
great. This is the best time. And then next Christmas comes along. We should do this again.
yeah,
I feel bad. I got some. I got friends who I've known for a long time, and I wish them happy birthday. But via text, very rarely I speak to them.
yeah.
It's a shame. Sometimes I've tried to reach out, but when it's not reciprocated like as much as you thought, then you kind of just pull back. Like it's kind of like almost you sort of go, oh yeah, we should hang out sometime, and then yeah, that'd be great, and then that's the end of the conversation.
Mm,
And you're like,
yeah,
okay, fair enough. And I'm sure I've done it as well, without meaning to. I don't think it's a thing of like I dislike this person. I think it's when are we going to fit this in? You've got a schedule, I've got a schedule. Kids have got schedules, schedules, all that sort
yeah.
of garbage. But all those excuses. But yeah, it's when you do like I do feel bad when I wish these people happy birthday, and I'm like, man, I look at the last text message and it's me saying happy birthday last year. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
man. Like, and another year's gone. You're like, oh my goodness. Like, um, do you just, I don't know. It makes you think, do you just send, I like you message every now and then or hey, but, yeah.
Look, you and I, we have a lot of love to give. I think that's why we started this show. Well, it's not why we started the show, but it's why we sustained it, because we just want to keep sharing with people and we want to keep connecting with people. And that's what you're doing by sending those birthday messages that may be going out into the ether. You're just shouting out into the wind, I like you, happy birthday.
Yeah.
And you're not hearing anything back. But that happens to me too. And I never think, oh, this person doesn't want to hear from me, they're just ghosting me or anything like that. I always think, look, people get busy, but I've got the capacity, the mental capacity and the heart capacity to love and to share with people. So for me, I'm always going to let people know that they're special in some way and that someone out there is thinking about them.
Yeah.
And, maybe they're doing so well, it doesn't matter to them. And that's great. Yeah. I'm happy for that. If they're like, oh, that's Kiwi. Oh, yeah, that Kiwi guy. Oh, that's nice. And then they just move on with their lives. Yeah. One day, they may need to know that, wow, there is someone out there that cares about me. There is someone out there that actually thinks about me, even though we haven't seen each other for years. So that's why I do it. Just to let them know, hey, there's always someone here for you. Someone's got your back in this really lonely universe where we're just floating around in space around this ball of plasma for no reason, seemingly. There's someone out there that actually cares about me, has thought about me recently. That's nice.
Yep. Oh, look, and I'm happy to play that part too. And I should say those messages, I did get that wrong a little bit. The last message, I usually get a thank you. So I do get a reply, and also they will send the same message to me on my birthday. So sorry, I should have said that, but essentially the messages sort of come back, and it's like every 6 months because our birthdays are separate that much. Yeah. But sorry, I just had to correct myself there. It wasn't like they did answer me.
Yeah.
I felt bad. As you were talking, I'm like, oh, actually I should say that I do get answered. But it's just the fact that, but I know that these people, that I've known for a long time are there for me, and they know that I'm there for them.
Yeah.
And it's usually if something does occur, we're usually the first on the phone. If something, life-changing occurs as we get older and things like that. But, I actually got a nice phone call, nothing life-changing. I shouldn't, a nice phone call from one of our friends. I'll use it. Carl, he called me. Yeah. So,
hey Carl, how are you, buddy?
He listens to all the shows, and, I had a good, it was sort of, bedtime at our house for the girls, and, I managed to escape it. I was having a chat to him for about an hour 20. So it was a long phone call, and I managed to let my wife do all the bedtime routine, and which is usually a little bit of a crazy time in our house. But it was good to catch up with him and have a chat. So it was hopefully it can happen more often.
Yeah. And I still remember your birthday, Carl, and I message you every year. So
I always get it wrong. Mate. I always get it wrong. I know
15 days before yours.
Yeah, but I always thought it was 5 days before mine. So then it was the 15th. So I always got the two numbers mixed up. And then So anyway, I remember now. It's just as we grew up together, I was always getting it wrong.
Well, I actually had my birthday a couple of weeks ago, and it's funny. I was actually talking to one of our friends that you went to Beer Fest with, who always forgets my birthday, and he's like, "Oh, damn it, so sorry, I forgot." This time I mentioned my birthday. This is days later, and he didn't even say anything. He's just like, "Oh, yep."
It's accepted.
But you know what? Like I said, I've got enough loving to give.
To
everybody. I've got enough to do all the loving. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys just receive, and I'm as privileged as it comes because I've got surplus in my life. So I think that's the attitude that I'm going to run with for the rest of my life, and it's served me well so far.
Sounds good to me.
So whatever your love language is, I hope you are receiving it and hearing it and being able to give it yourself. Hopefully everybody out there is feeling enough love to get them through these times. Now we've got Christmas and New Year's coming up, and I guess it's a pretty reflective time for a lot of people.
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah, don't be afraid to share the love. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. I love you. I love you, Jarad. You're a good friend. I really enjoy connecting with you and doing this podcast. So, everyone out there, you know what? Just go do it.
Go do it, mate. Hey, I can never follow your finishes. I swear, I try and think of something to say, and I just like just do what Kiwi said. Love you too, mate.
Thanks, Jarad.
See ya.